Everybody out there getting off the graveyard shift. Good morning to everybody on YouTube and Twitch, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Good morning to everybody on the Xfinity Mobile text line. It's a big day in 95.7 The Game. We got the Red and Gold Summit today. Red and Gold Summit out in San Ramon. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see everybody out there. Get out there to the East Bay Fieldwork Brewing Company in San Ramon. I mean, everybody's going to be there. Wheeler to Dibs, they kick it off at 2 p.m. We'll get there at 4 o'clock. Steiny and Guru will get there at 4 o'clock. We'll go from 4 to 6. And look, man, Todd and Devon from Fremont Bank, they're going to be there. The big dogs are coming out there. The big advertisers, right? Fremont Bank going to be in the house. Sergeant White from the Oakland PD, he's going to be in the house. Ryan Turner from the Hyatt Fisherman's Wharf is going to stop by. And a bunch of who's who. It's going to be a great time there. We can't get Flemming out there because he's going to be calling a game between the Giants and Reds, and I don't know how he calls one after last night, man. That was a lot of fun watching Kyle Harrison deal the way he dealt, and you saw Ramos make a play. You saw Meckler make an impact here. The youngsters shining, and that's all we want to see, Flem. We want to see the youngsters play, and we got to see Kyle Harrison pitch a doozy last night against the Reds. Good morning, Flem.
Good morning. We've had it. For a season where we've had a lot of struggles, that was a really fun night at the yard, and maybe the most fun. Really, really fun.
What was so fun about it? Was it his family in his suite? Was it his mom and dad behind the plate? Was it Kyle Harrison showing emotion? Was it the strikeouts he was piling up in the first couple of innings? What was the most fun part of that night last night at the yard, Flem?
Well, as much as I love, and I am a sucker for like the families and seeing their reactions and whatnot, I do love that about a big league player's debut or first home start or whatever. As much as I love that, to me it was the strikeouts, especially to start the game, and then the way the crowd reacted. I mean, the fans were into it from the start, and it gave you an inkling of how much people have been paying attention to this kid as he climbed up through the minor leagues, and so I love that part of it.
You know, I'm going to sound insane here. It felt like a magical night from 15 years ago. Like, that's what it felt like when they really started to capture that magic. And Lincecum's a comet. Like, he's a unicorn, if you will. You're not going to see many of those. But seeing the way the crowd and he was reacting, and as the strikeouts were piling up, and then the synergy between him and Patrick Bailey, who clearly they've got chemistry from the minor leagues, and then seeing him with the chains and he's screaming and yelling as he's coming off the mound to end the sixth inning, like, it felt like the first time in a long time where it was like, oh my God, you could start to see the future. Like, and I know they've had some nice moments, Flem. I'm not here to dismiss it. But this felt different. Like, it really did. Because for this kid to live up to that promise, and it's one night, he's got a whole career ahead of him. I don't know, man. I feel like it breathed life into Giants fans for one night.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think part of it is just how spectacular the individual performance was yesterday. I mean, you get 11 strikeouts your first start at home, and you're just blowing people away, blowing fastballs by really good hitters. That's, it was just sort of spectacucular to watch. But I also think it is a factor of a product of this guy is an elite talent. Like, and not to say that some of these other young Giants players can't get to that level, but this guy is a special talent. And so, you combine that with then the way he performed, and you dream big. Why not? You should. Like, we said it with Bailey. Posey's too high of a bar. I mean, Buster's going to the Hall of Fame, and the chances of another Hall of Fame catcher are very slim. And Tim Lincecum won 2 Cy Young awards. The chances of Kyle winning 2 Cy Young awards are not great. Like, they just aren't. Very, very few in the history of the game accomplished that. But this guy's got the talent to do something Lincecum-like with his career. He does. He's just a really special individual, and he should be a pillar for this franchise for a long time to come.
All right, so we've talked about the moxie and the presence and the electricity and the fiery competitor. Let's talk about, like, the prospect, like the player. I could see a little Blake Snell in him. Madison Bumgarner's an easier comparison because of the slingshot lefty throw, the slider, the big thick legs. Steve Avery, I've seen some people compare him to. He worked off the fastball the first time through the lineup and then mixed in the changeup, mixed in that slurve. I'm not even sure what that pitch is. I mean, he looks like a very advanced 22-year-old.
Yeah, he calls it a slider. So even though StatCast calls it a slurve just because of the way that it moves, it's for him, it's just a pure slider. I thought the slider was awesome last night. The changeup, I can't believe how good that changeup looks because we were told, yeah, it's kind of a work in progress and he hadn't thrown it much and it hasn't been real effective for him. And man, it sure looked like that could be a great weapon for him. You mentioned the size. He's a big, strong kid. I think that's a factor. That gives you more he looks so different from Mad Bum and his personality. Mad Bum's from North Carolina. This kid's a Northern California kid, but he's got kind of that size to where you could sort of think, hey, this guy could be a physical presence for a long time to come. So it's probably a combo of a lot of that stuff, but the main thing for him, all the other stuff, and last night with the slider and the changeup were both good. The guy's got a chance. Maybe you could envision, close your eyes and say, these guys got the best fastball in the game at some point, and that's a special trait.
They made De La Cruz look silly a couple times, not only with the fastball, but with the split and the sweeper. I mean, he was on his game. Kyle Harrison, that is, getting his first career victory in the big leagues there. Duvall gets his 35th save, but one of the plays of the game was Luis Matos throwing out Encarnacion on a one hop from right field. I mean, the way he played that ball, the way he charged it, the way he threw it, it looked so effortless. Matos here, I'm loving seeing him play in this outfield. He could play all three spots. I know he got the 3 strikeouts at the plate, but it's one of those things, Flem, where despite Haniger coming back and Yaz coming back and Conforto being a couple weeks away, they got to find a way to just keep Matos in the lineup and let this kid play, Flem.
Yeah, I agree with you in the big picture. I think it's going to be hard to if both those guys are healthy, Yastrzemski and Haniger I'm talking about, then it's hard not to play them each probably 4 times a week at least. So that could leave some playing time still for Matos. I think Yastrzemski assuredly now will not be playing against lefties. And you had a situation where he was playing kind of every day. So there's some at-bats. They're seeing a lot of lefties here in the next week or so. So I think there's still some playing time left. It's probably not going to be what you're asking for, and I understand why you're asking for it every day playing time, because he has the ceiling of a really good everyday player. He can be a big part of the Giants' future, but you also, you see the spectacular last night, and then you see all the stuff that he still has to work on, and maybe that's also part of your point, is that he needs reps to get better, because there is still a lot of improving for him to do.
Well, I think where the tug and pull is like, we all see the merit of trying to qualify for the playoffs, right? There's merit in that, and you want to get into the wild card. Like, who doesn't want to win? Like, the object is to win the World Series. But I also feel like we owe it to ourselves to find out, like, is Elliot Ramos any good? I want to come out of this year knowing what to do with Elliot Ramos, because I'm looking at this outfield and all the different prospects, Meckler, Matos, who Bonte's referencing, McCrary's down in the farm, like, guys are going to be available in the offseason, like a Pete Alonso, and I'd like to have an idea or a feel for who's a keeper and who's not. And so I don't know how to balance it. Like, I want to see the young guys play. I understand the merit of going with someone who's more accomplished, like a Yastrzemski, and guy you signed like Haniger. But gosh, do you get where I'm conflicted here, Flem?
I do. I think both of you guys are making a similar point, and I think if you ask Farhan and some of the Giants front office, they feel the same way you do. Like, they really want info on these guys for planning for next year, for the future. They do want as much data as they can possibly get on how good these guys can be. It is a conflict, and it's hard. It's why, it's like an old cliche, but it's hard to develop and win at the same time for exactly this reason. Like, do you let your guys play through mistakes so you can really see what you have, or do you say, we can't tolerate the mistakes? And I think the Giants, they're leaning towards letting the mistakes happen and trying to win even with that. It's hard. It's going to be hard for the final month. I think you're going to see chances for those young guys to play still. Maybe not as much as you're asking for, but I think it's still possible to do both. And look, just one final point about getting in the wild card. Like, does last night change your opinion about getting in the playoffs? Like,
That felt pretty special.
I think you can close your eyes and sort of think, man, Logan and that kid in a 3-game series, or Logan, Cobb, and Harrison in a best of 3. Maybe the chances of doing something once you get there get a little higher if you got that guy on your side.
I did envision a future rotation revolving around Webb and Harrison, and felt really good about the prospects of that one. But one guy we haven't talked about, and it's been a lot of doom and gloom. They haven't won back-to-back games since August 2nd and 3rd until last night when they beat the Reds. You beat the Reds, the Braves on a Sunday night to salvage a game in that series. You lose 8 straight series. But one guy who's been steady, and one guy who doesn't get a lot of love around here is Wilmer Flores. I mean, he batted .344 in June, batted .383 in July. He's had a great August at batting .290. He's hit for power. Wilmer Flores has had a very solid season, and quietly over the last 3 to 4 years, he's been a really good Giant, Flem.
A really good Giant. And the numbers speak for themselves this year. You go hitters since June 1st, it's Ohtani, Mookie, Seager, and Wilmer.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Pretty good. That's a pretty great list. Just pure OPS. And that's June 1st. That's 3 months. Mm-hmm. He's been one of the best hitters in the game. So he's doing a great job. I will also say this. Behind the scenes, to me, there is nobody on that team, nobody who is more of an example of what you want in a Giants uniform than Wilmer. Professional, prepared every day, good teammate, but also really serious, willing to speak up if it needs it. I just think Wilmer is exactly what he's Buster Posey in terms of his personality in a lot of ways. Maybe not quite as Buster was quiet publicly, but behind the scenes was pretty forceful and outgoing. Wilmer's maybe a little less of that, but in terms of the preparation and how he gets ready and being a pro, that's Wilmer. Every
time we're at a game and the Friends music comes on, my wife goes, "Oh, my favorite player, Wilmer's coming up." She loves it. She loves it every time. She starts clapping. On the Ronald Acuna thing last night, did you catch the video of the fans running out? And I couldn't tell if Acuna just kind of embraced the moment and took photos with them. It was very difficult for me to understand what was going down there. That's dangerous on a variety of levels. Baseball's got to do something about this.
I agree. I don't know what you do exactly. I mean, all sports, it's kind of like, it just makes you a little nervous. We let fans have access. You go to a Warriors game and there's Curry and LeBron on the court and everybody's just sitting there courtside. It's a dilemma. How do you stop that from happening? Because it is scary, but also you want the fans and the players to, have a connection. That's the whole point of all this. So that was scary. I don't know if you just purely have to station some more security personnel around the ballpark, just increase your numbers a little bit just to, make sure that if something like that happens, you can get to a person, greater consequences. It seemed to me like the people last night are like a lot of the people in San Francisco. They're just idiots as opposed to malicious actors or something. And so, but you can't laugh it off. You got to be serious. There has to be real consequences so people know you just cannot do that. You're not going to get away with it.
Yeah, an ugly scene there with Acuna Jr., one of the game's best. He's got over 60 steals. Going to be 30-60 before it's all said and done this year. But the Giants, they get back-to-back wins. Let's see what they can do to follow it up against Cincinnati. Let's see if they can win a series. Win a series here, Giants. Let's go. Flem will be listening tonight. Have a good call, bud. Thanks for joining us as always.
Yeah, it's really, they got to, we keep saying it, but they got to get hot. So, okay, now you've got your 2 wins in a row. Let's get hot. Let's go. It's time to do it. And you got a great energy boost from the kid last night and see if that can roll over. They really need Alex Cobb to pitch better. He's going tonight, and he just hasn't pitched well since he made the All-Star team, pitched in the All-Star game, and hasn't been an all-star since then, so it's a big night for him.
No doubt, Flem. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, man. Thanks for the time, as always.
Okay, great.
Dave Flemming here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game.